Have you ever been in a place where your heart beats so fast, not because you are tired, but because you know you are witnessing something that will never be repeated again in your entire life? That night, August 15th, 2026, inside the magnificent SoFi Stadium Los Angeles, 70,000 souls experienced that feeling at the exact same time. They came to see a queen, a Colombian woman who has turned reggaeton into a universal language of love. But God, or perhaps musical destiny itself, had another plan. In the middle of a sea of pink lights, in the middle of a deafening roar, a very familiar silhouette emerged from the darkness of the stage. And in 1 second, the scream changed. It was no longer a scream of admiration, but a scream of disbelief. A scream of history. Because the man they thought was in a studio on the other side of the world, the man who has become a living legend, the man named Bruno Mars, had just stepped onto Karol G's stage. And what happened after that will make you cry. Welcome back to this channel, home to true hooligans and bicotas around the world. If you are new here, you are in the right place to get the behind-the-scenes story that you will never find in regular news. Because tonight, we are not just going to talk about a concert. We are going to dissect a moment. A moment that was designed so perfectly, so emotionally, that thousands of adult women who were there that night could not hold back their tears. In this Part 1 video, I will take you inside SoFi Stadium on that legendary second night. I will tell you how Karol G built her historic 3-night run, why the night of August 15th was the most dangerous night to miss, and second by second how Bruno Mars appeared without a single leak on social media. And I promise you, at the end of this video, you will understand why the thousands of cameras recording that night were not just fan phone cameras. Because there is a big secret that was only revealed a few hours after the concert ended. A secret that changed the status of every audience member that night from just being a fan to being an eternal part of music history. Stay with me, because the story has just begun. Los Angeles always has a way of making every story feel like a movie. But August 2026 felt different. The air in Inglewood felt heavier, more full of hope. Because for the first time in her career, Karol G, Carolina Geraldo Navarro, decided to do something that even many male legends have never done before. She booked SoFi Stadium, one of the grandest and most expensive stadiums in the world, not for one night, but for 3 consecutive nights. August 14th, 15, and 16. This was not just a concert. This was a statement. A declaration that a Latina woman could fill, command, and bring to life an NFL stadium for 3 nights. And she succeeded. The first night, August 14th, was an explosion. The media called it the night of proof. Her stage shaped like a beating heart, her glittering costumes, and her set list that took the audience from the deepest tears in Provenza to wild euphoria in Tusa, everything went perfectly. Critics from the Los Angeles Times and Rolling Stone, who were there that night, wrote that Karol G had officially ascended to the throne as the biggest female performer of this decade. But what they did not know was that the first night was just a warm-up. Because Karol G's team and Bruno Mars's team had planned something for the second night with a level of secrecy that surpassed a military operation. We have to understand the context of the relationship between these two stars. When the song Still was first released a few months earlier, the music world was shocked. How could two such different worlds meet in such a heart-wrenching harmony? On one side there is Bruno Mars, a perfectionist, a craftsman of soul, funk, and pop music whose every vocal note is polished like a diamond. A man known for never doing a collaboration carelessly. On the other side there is Karol G, a queen full of raw power, honest emotion, and the courage to be vulnerable on stage. Many thought this collaboration would just be an exchange of digital files. Bruno recording in his studio, Karol recording in hers, then a producer putting it together. But they were wrong. So wrong. Because from the beginning, both Bruno and Karol said in separate interviews that Still is not a song that can be sent via email. Still is about two wounded souls who meet in the middle of a storm. And to sing it, you have to look into that person's eyes. You have to feel their breath. And that is what had never happened live. Until the night of August 15th. Imagine you are a 45-year-old mother who came with your daughter. You have spent months saving for this ticket. You have followed Karol G since she was still singing in her small room in Medellin. You are also a fan of Bruno Mars since the Just the Way You Are era, the song you played at your wedding. You are in the middle rows. The second night begins. The lights go out. The intro of the new Tropical Queda echoes, and the entire stadium turns into a sea of phone lights. Karol G appears, more radiant than the night before. She sings almost the same set list, but there is something different in her energy. There is a beautiful anxiety in her eyes, as if she is waiting for something, or someone. Every time she finishes singing a ballad, she looks to the left side of the stage, to the dark area, and smiles in a way that cannot be explained. Hardcore fans began to whisper, "What is wrong with her tonight? Is she okay?" And then, that moment arrived. After the song Amargura, which drained all emotion, the stage lights did not immediately come back on. Instead, a single very soft white spotlight shone on a black piano that was not there before. A piano that just appeared from under the stage. And on top of that piano, there was a fedora hat that we know so well. In an instant, silence fell over 70,000 people. A silence so thick you could hear your own heartbeat. And from the darkness behind that piano, a man walked slowly. In a shimmering black velvet suit, with that shy smile that has melted millions of hearts for the last 15 years. It was him. It was really Bruno Mars. What happened next cannot be described with ordinary words. That scream. That scream was not an ordinary concert scream. It was a wave of sound that broke all boundaries. Elegant adult women who came in gracefully suddenly jumped, hugged their daughters, cried hysterically. The men who accompanied their wives also screamed because they knew they were seeing a legend. And in the middle of that most beautiful chaos, Bruno sat in front of the piano. He did not say hello Los Angeles. He did not say how are you. He just looked at Karol G, who was now standing beside him with teary eyes, and he began to play the piano intro to the song Still. An intro so simple, so heartbreaking, so honest. The first 4 chords alone were enough to make the entire stadium hold its breath. And when Bruno started singing, with his signature raspy voice, with a vibrato that only he has, time seemed to stop. I still remember your perfume in my hallway. That lyric came out of his mouth not like a pop singer, but like a man who truly still feels that loss. And then Karol came in. Her strong voice, full of wounds, blended with Bruno's softness. For the first time in the world, Still was performed live. Not in a sterile studio, but in front of a sea of humans who felt every word. This was not just a cameo. This was a union of souls. Bruno did not come as a guest star. He came as an equal duet partner. They looked at each other. They listened to each other. In one part, when Bruno did his legendary high falsetto ad-lib, Karol was seen closing her eyes and smiling with tears flowing. That was not acting. That was pure admiration from one musician to another. But this is the part that made that night truly shocking, and that was not realized by almost everyone when it happened. If you looked closely, around the stadium, there were unusual cameras. Not just fan phone cameras. On cranes, on the side of the stage, there were even small drones flying very smoothly with small red lights on. At first, the audience thought it was part of the regular tour documentation for the big screen. But a fan sitting in the front row, a woman named Maria Elena, who was recording with her phone, noticed something strange. She saw a very famous director, the director who had directed the Die with a Smile music video, sitting in the mixing area with a headset and shouting action softly. And next to him, there was a monitor displaying big writing, Still official music video take 1 live at SoFi. Oh my God! That is when the truth hit like lightning. This concert. This moment. These tears. These screams. Everything was being recorded to become the official still music video. Thousands of people who were there that night, including the mother and daughter, without them realizing it, had just become stars in a music video that will be watched by hundreds of millions of people around the world. They were not just an audience. They were witnesses. They were part of the love story told in that song. Every face that cried, every couple that hugged, every phone light that swayed, everything will be eternal. Los Angeles, the city of dreams, now has a bond that will never be broken with the Bruno and Karol collaboration era. Because their first music video, their first live music video, was created there, with love from 70,000 people. Karol G herself, after the song was over, could not speak for almost a minute. She just hugged Bruno very tightly, a sincere hug, a hug of two artists who know they have just created something sacred. She then picked up the microphone with trembling hands and said with a choked voice, "Los Angeles, you just turned our little history into big history. Thank you for being part of our hearts tonight." And Bruno, with the humility that has always been his trademark, just kissed Karol's forehead and said, "Thank you for allowing me to be part of your dream." That simple sentence made the entire stadium explode again in tears of emotion. Because in a world full of fake collaborations for streaming numbers, that night felt real. So real. And now, the question that hangs in the air of SoFi Stadium that is still felt to this day, even after the stadium lights went out and fans walked home with full hearts. Was this just a one-time surprise appearance? A beautiful gift for the second night? Or is this a door deliberately opened by Bruno and Karol for something much bigger? Is still just the beginning? Will we see more? Could this be a hint for a joint tour, or even a collaborative EP? Because the way they looked at each other on stage that night, the way their voices blended as if they had been singing together for decades, it did not look like an ending. It looked like a beginning. In part 2 later, I will take you even deeper. We will analyze from the point of view of a vocal expert why Bruno and Karol's harmonization at SoFi that night is considered one of the most difficult and most perfect in modern pop history. We will listen to what the music producers in Hollywood who were there that night said, and we will uncover the hidden clue that Bruno left at the end of his performance, a clue that makes many fans believe that Los Angeles was just the first stop. You will not want to miss it. So, before we continue to the second part, which will be more emotional and even more shocking, I want to hear from your deepest heart. If you were at SoFi Stadium that night, in the middle of 70,000 souls, becoming part of the still music video, what would you feel? Would you cry with happiness, scream hysterically, or just be silent because you were too moved? And in your opinion, was this surprise from Bruno Mars a sincere gift for Karol G's fans? Or is this the first step of a big plan they have been arranging for months? Write your feelings and theories in the comment column below. Because the YouTube algorithm loves honesty, and I love reading every story from you. Do not forget to press the like button, subscribe, and notification bell, so you will be the first to know when part 2 airs. Because believe me, part 2 will make you see the night of August 15th in a completely different way. See you in part 2. Stay with us, because history is still being written.